Welcome back to the Football Kingdom podcast. I'm Tyler Mallon, and I'm solo this week. I believe Brandon Johnson is watching the Royals play right now. They are in a wild card race, and Brandon has a solo podcast called This Is Baseball, which is excellent. You should definitely go check that out. We're going to talk some Chiefs versus Falcons. That happened 2 days ago. It is Victory Tuesday, and it's great. Okay, now, we called the last episode Win Ugly, and I think the Chiefs are continuing to do that, unfortunately. Mahomes said it again at the end of this game, that it's like, I would like to come in here and put away teams. That's what we're going to try to do moving forward or something like that, so don't really believe you, Patrick, but hopefully with the injuries to the Chargers, maybe talk about that later, but maybe you can put away a team at least once in your era. Just smash a team. Just drop a 50 burger on some team and shut them out. But let's talk about the Falcons game. I want to start with Rashee Rice. He's really taken the next step into being the wide receiver one, the clear number one. He had 12 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. All of his plays were the driving force on all their drives. Always going for kind of deeper routes, crossing routes, but just Mahomes' guy. Now, it kind of goes to the whole Travis Kelce situation, which I'm still not buying. The whole, mostly national media is all about Kelce's washed, he's hurt, he's old, whatever. Still not buying it. Mahomes, did say, he's like, listen, they're double teaming him and I can throw to other people. And I have heard some national media kind of say that as well. That like, hey, they might start paying more attention to Rice and shutting him down. And then who else does Mahomes go to? Back to Kelce. Or to Carson Steele, who had himself a night too, which is another point I wanted to make here is like the fact that you always hear teams like, oh, well, it's the next man up mentality. And that usually is a nice saying, but you don't really see teams, come through with that kind of promise, if you were. But Carson Steele, he had a 72 yards total. He had 52 yards after contact. That's the kind of player he is. And man, I really like him. Like the whole pet alligator thing and his whole story. And he has this whole kind of rushing mentality like Pacheco, very physical, and just he wants to go find a hit and just blast through guys. But I really like his style. Like he gets kind of off his feet more often than other running backs, including our own, not ours, the Chiefs running backs, but. And they're not big, flashy, huge jumps. It's like he'll just like do these little bitty hops over defenders or his own guy, and a defender who are on the ground. He'll just do a little bitty jump over them. He's not afraid to do that. I hate when guys go, vertical. Like they go way up in the air, they get hit, and now you're helicoptering in the air, and it's a, NFL highlight, you're in slow motion. It's like, okay, which injury are you going to have by the time you hit the ground? Because something's going to get hurt. He doesn't do that. Like Barry Sanders was really famous for that. He could pull that kind of stuff off. But yeah, I've already seen Carson do like maybe 2 or 3 of these, just these little bitty jumps, like through, blockers, instead of like, oh, well, can't go that way. I'll maybe bust out here, around the blocking, and then somebody's already there to stop him. Carson, he's fast on his feet, and just love to see it. I just the way he's playing is great. But yeah, back to the next man up mentality. I mean, the Chiefs have always done that. They've won Super Bowls with guys who, like Carson Steele being a perfect example of, like, he was cut from the Broncos, in the preseason. And now he's starting for the Chiefs and winning them games. And they've really, unlike the past, well, the Chiefs have definitely gone to the run a lot more than they should, but they really never had a passing game. Like, that's all they had was the run game. I'm talking like Priest Holmes era Chiefs, where it's like that's all they had was a run game, and every team knew it, and you had the worst quarterback play. But it's good. It's great to see them being able to fall back to a run game and use that to open up the pass game. Now, Mahomes was pretty sloppy the first half. I wasn't as critical as other people, have been since the game has been played. A lot of people are like, well, he's just not, very accurate. Those things might be true, but at least he's got guys catching the ball, and I think that this is still maybe just not necessarily growing pains, but more of like timing, with these players. And Xavier Worthy, I think he, again, is only going to get better the more he plays with Rice, and he's going to learn from Travis Kelce even more so, because Rice, they've been talking a lot about how he's been taking a lot of advice from Travis Kelce. So, I don't know. It's super exciting time to see, the offense still win ugly and, pull off these wins against pretty decent teams. Again, didn't really think the Falcons had much of a chance even at home. Cousins looked pretty old, and honestly it probably has a lot to do with the Achilles. But yeah, there really wasn't a ton of sacks. I think there was only one in this game, but yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the pressure that the Chiefs had against this team, and is that a problem? And I'm like, get out of here. Just one of those games where they didn't get to an old, aging, slow, statuesque quarterback. Not a problem. I'm not concerned. It's a one-off weird thing, I think. Come back to me in like week 5, and we'll see if the defense is suddenly struggling and not pressuring quarterbacks. But going back to the defense, or staying with the defense, I think they have this game plan of the old Bill Belichick playbook of like, I'm going to shut down your best player and I'm going to beat you. Take out their best player and that'll give you the best chance to win. Bijan Robinson is their best player. He went 16 for 31. Okay. Their whole running game was shut down. They had 80 yards of rushing. That's it. The Bengals had 70 yards, and that's what I said at the beginning of this game when the Falcons marched down the field and scored a touchdown on their opening drive. I was like, okay, that was painfully obvious that the Chiefs are like, we're shutting down Bijan. Kirk Cousins, you beat us through the air. And the Falcons were like, okay, we can do that. And it was no big deal. And I'm like, it's going to be a long day, long like a Sunday night. But they kind of figured it out. And again, I kind of called it. I didn't tweet this out, but I kind of saw that, like, okay, the Falcons are going to come out, have a game plan that's going to be successful, and then completely ignore it the rest of the way. And that's exactly what they did. Now, they still got some really good passing plays, but a lot of the time they're just, I don't know, like their run game, I guess, being totally shut down really messed with their game plan, and that's how the Chiefs beat them, because it really wasn't that competitive. The Falcons did make some really good plays and got a lot of passing yards, but just couldn't really get the job done on a lot of the scoring plays. So the Chiefs' opening drive, Mahomes throws an interception to Justin Simmons, which he said he's been intercepted by him like a million times, which that's what it seems like. That guy, on no matter what team he's on, just somehow has Patrick Mahomes' number, which is kind of funny. But something I want to talk about with the Chiefs in general is last season, they did this so many times where they had like a 3rd and 1, and they essentially get it. Watching it live, it looks like the Chiefs get the first down. And what do? And I'm telling you, they had to have done this 5 times last season, where they rush to the line and try it again, and they don't get it. And it's either pretty close again, it's like basically the same play twice, where it's like it's right on the line, or it's just behind it, and the refs really can't spot it any better than they do. Or but the Chiefs don't challenge the first run. I mean, just challenge the spot. At least once. Like, they just, every single time they've done this, it's like, oh, let's just rush back out there and try it again. We'll get it the second time. And they never do. It's super frustrating to see a team like, especially now in 24, where they have you're guaranteed your 2 challenges. And I think you can get a 3rd if you get one of your challenges right, or if you get 2 of your challenges, whatever it is. But, I mean, come on. At least try, And the other part about this game with that, the short yardage problems, is like there was 2 times in this game where the Chiefs have 3rd and short. It's like 3rd and 2. They try to get the first down. They don't. Now, the first one, they were on like their 40, 45-yard line or something, and it was early. I think it was in the first half. The second time, it was second half. It was really late in the game, and they were pretty far back. They were probably on their 35, okay? But the defense just bailed them out and have been driving this whole game. They're only in the game because of the defense, and they've been out there all game. The Falcons have been running it down, but they're turning it over, we're kicking field goals, and I'm like sitting there watching the game like, just go for it. It's 4th and 2. You have Patrick Mahomes. You can't get 2 yards. That's what you're telling me. 2 yards. Like, don't put it on the defense's back yet again. Like, they're gassed out there, Now, I think in the long run, this will make the defense stronger, right? It'll make them confident that they can go out when the game is on the line, there's 2 minutes left or less, and they know if they need a big stop, they can do it. Okay, that can go a long way. That's kind of like banking, that energy or that confidence. Okay, so that there is a positive there, but it's super frustrating to be like, you got the best player in the league, man. Like, come on, like, we got to get 2, we can't gain 2 yards. There's got to be something we can pull out here to get a first down and keep the drive alive and put the game away. Like, go down there and score again. Don't always throw it to the defense. Okay, again, it's really early in the season, and they've got time, especially now at 3-0, to kind of work out the kinks and let the defense kind of save them again. It's just one of those things that's kind of frustrating to watch. Random thing that Chris Collingsworth at one point said tackling Rashee Rice is like tackling a triangle. And then I think on the same drive referred to Travis Kelce as either a planet or an asteroid. Don't know how many of you watched that game, but just thought that was a crazy thing that he said. But yeah, the red zone troubles still continue. That's really frustrating to watch. Still kicking field goals. They're doing what they need to get the wins, but they got to figure out the short yardage and the red zone. They get down to the red zone, and they did like 2 runs that went nowhere. And then they did some sort of motion play. Oh, that's right. They did the corn dog play. It wasn't quite the corn dog because Rashee Rice, I think it was Rice or Worthy, had kind of ran to the line and then back out again. And they had that motion behind their own receivers to try to lose that defender. And it just didn't work. And it's unfortunate, but they're at least trying something, but it's like, do that on first and second down. Don't do these super obvious run plays. And if you do, use your, make it more of like a delayed handoff rather than, these big packages. I think Nick Jacobs from 41 was saying that. He's like, don't put the big guys in there and like, orchestrate like, hey, we're in goal line, get your big guys out here, and we're going to run the ball. Spread them out, spread the defense out, and Carson can run right through the gaps, and again, 2-yard touchdown, and he's in there. Carson didn't get a touchdown, so he's still waiting for that. So the last play of the game, Falcons, last two plays. The Falcons had a 3rd and 1 from like the 15 or something. They give it to Tyler Algier, who's stuffed. I think he's like didn't gain. He may have. I don't think he lost a yard, but it was still about a yard to gain. So it's 4th and 1, and Cousins apparently audibles to whatever that wacky play is that they just kind of run like this kind of sweep to the left, and the entire defensive line pushes their O-line probably 2 yards back, and Bolton gets us the tackle on Bijan Robinson for a loss of like 3. Turnover on downs. Great way to end the game. And just a dominating performance again by the defense, which is awesome to see. But not really sure what he was thinking there, if he saw something we didn't, but didn't really work. The Chiefs, as usual, championship team, when the game is on the line, and Spags did this plenty of times where they just rushed, slow Kirk Cousins, and it worked every time. And you don't really understand why teams keep falling for that. It's kind of like how Kelsey was always getting open. Why do teams keep not seeing the blitz coming at the end of the drives? Spags is going to rush you. He's going to blitz every single time, and it somehow always works, which is pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit about next week's game against the Chargers. I don't really know what to tell you at this point. It is Victory Tuesday. Justin Herbert is questionable with this ankle injury. From what I've heard, I have to imagine he is not playing, which, is huge for the Chiefs, I think. The Chargers always play them really well. It kind of totally sucks, quite honestly. Really wanted to see the Chargers healthy and the whole, Jim Harbaugh of it all, and have our first kind of, head-to-head matchup with this new team. But honestly, don't really see him starting. It's Tuesday night. I don't know. I don't think he's going to play. If he does, didn't sound like he was that healthy, and he probably should have sat out this last game and gotten healthy for this one. But I think he took a sack, and he kind of limped off, and it's not looking good. I don't know why teams are making these weird decisions with certain quarterbacks, especially with an in-division game coming up against your kind of rival Chiefs here. Not really sure what that's all about, but I don't really see the Chargers winning a game against the Chiefs, even though they're at home. We're talking SoFi Stadium. That is basically always an away game for the Chargers and the Rams, apparently. So Chiefs will show out there. Right now, Vegas has this game at -8 for the Chiefs. So got to think the Chiefs are going to come in here and spread the ball around. who knows who they'll give it to? Juju Smith got his first touchdown of the season. Hopefully Carson Steele get in the end zone. Maybe another big man touchdown. You never know. Andy Reid always throws these weird, he kind of empties the playbook and these I only say meaningless because I don't think Herbert's playing, because you don't need to give trick plays to teams that are kind of out of it, and if Herbert's not there, they're just kind of punching on the game saying, hey, we'll get you, next go around, but our guy's hurt. We're going to try our best to beat you, but I don't know. Kind of interested to see what the Chiefs do against the Chargers, since they just lost against the Steelers, which makes sense because you've got TJ Watt sacking Justin Herbert, which is probably why his ankle ain't doing that great. But that's all I've got for you. We'll see you next week. Hopefully me and Brandon will be here. Check us out. Follow us on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Football Kingdom Pod. On YouTube, we upload the audio there as well. If you want to check us out on YouTube, check out our other podcasts. Brandon's is This Is Baseball, and they also have him and his two best friends. They've got a podcast, a Survivor podcast called The Merge Feast. Excellent podcast. If you like Survivor, check them out, and we will see you next week.